Sharma, co-founder iSpirit, Anshu Sharma, CEO Magic Pin, Shri Aditya Malik, COO Veranda Group, to come forward, please. And to moderate the conversation, we have Bhanuchandra Nagarajan, Senior Non-Resident Fellow at CEI EU. Bhanu, you will sit here. First one. So Bhanuchandra Nagarajan, the mic is yours.
Can you hear me? I think it's fine, yeah. So great, after the great first session, let's get into the nuts and bolts. We have a very eminent panel here, experts in very different fields. And the thing about this topic of whether it's a platform or network is something that we might have heard quite a bit on TV or like read quite a bit on newspapers, but it's about the nitty-gritties, okay? And so these experts here will help us decode the stuff for us, unpack things for us. I'm going to start with Sharad sir. In fact, I'm going to ask you something different. So assume the year is 2032. A young professional, she's having a lazy Sunday. She's getting up at say 8 o'clock and she's thinking, let me order breakfast first and do some shopping today. What do you think will be the options before her? Or how do you envisage things to be, say, like 7 years later?
You know, first thing is that we are in a time of non-linear change. Things will change more in the next 10 years for everybody in the world than they have changed in the last 50 years. I don't think we fully appreciated that right now. Partly it's going to be because of robotics, partly it will be because of AI. I'll give you an example of what's happening with robotics. A Tirupur garment worker working on old sewing machines has lower productivity than a Cambodian unskilled worker working on programmable sewing machines. And you know, we used to buy sewing machines from Japan and Germany. They have been displaced. In the world market, the sewing machine leader now is actually another country. They have stolen market share from Germany. Hamburg was the epicenter of sewing machines back in time. And from Japan, which is known for precision stuff. And you know who the new leader is for programmable sewing machine? Any guesses? They have more than 80% market share. Can anybody guess which country? It is China. China makes more money from our garment exports than we make ourselves. You know why? Because the money is not in the job work that you do. Money is in the machine. And we are buying machines from China. By the way, the same is the issue with diamond cutting. Diamond cutting, you know who makes more money from our diamond cutting in Surat than we make ourselves? The people who supply us the diamond cutting machines. And there are two companies, just two companies, which make more money out of that. One is Israeli and the other one is Swiss. They make more money than the whole industry. This is the new reality that we are looking at. Uber makes more money. Can anybody become rich running a Uber? No. Because if Uber finds out that in this area, the drivers are making a lot of money, what do you think Uber is going to do? They'll find a way to keep more of it. So look, in the value chain, there are serfs and there are landlords. This is a new reality that has emerged. And this is why this conversation is important, because we as a country can either be serfs and remain poor no matter how hard we work, or we can be landlords and actually benefit from the value chain that is being created, and this is a new value chain that is emerging. Now, how is this related to this new area? This is happening as we speak because of robotics. This is happening as we speak because of AI. If you have friends, cousins, nephews, nieces working in the IT services industry, they should be scared. Very, very scared. Here is Wipro, even before AI has hit, has had 2 years of declining revenue. Can somebody guess what is Infosys guidance for revenue growth? Infosys gives only an annual guidance. Does anybody know what their guidance is? I'll ask you a question. Is it 7 to 8% growth a year? How many of you think that's the correct number? Is it 3 to 4% growth a year? How many of you think that's the correct number? Come on, raise your hands. Is 1 to 2% a year? How many of you think that's the correct answer? The correct answer is their revenue growth is 1 to 2%. And on an inflation-adjusted basis, inflation in the US, that means they have actually net negative growth also taking place. This is happening through TCS. So therefore, there is pain ahead, not only for India, but for everybody in the world of a type that we have not experienced, not only in our lifetime, but for the last 100 years. And I feel Delhi is a very comfortable place, so therefore it doesn't worry about this. You come to my city in Bangalore now, I'm an original Delhi guy, so I can afford to criticize Delhi. And you will feel this panic that is about to hit us. So we are now going to be in one of these two cases. We will either be a Spain or a France. Can somebody tell me which of these two countries is in G20? We did G20, right? Okay. Why is Spain not in G20? Is explained by a very interesting story told in a book by Larry Summers. He says, look, I am responsible. This is after the 2008 crisis. And he's writing in that, he says, look, I'm helping pick the countries for G20. I'm down to only one slot. And I have 2 countries available. What does the world buy from Spain? Olive oil. What does the world buy from France? Airbus, Rafael, nuclear plants, and others. So he said, which one should I keep in G20? They kept France, as you rightly pointed out. Now, this was known in 2008, that geopolitical power is not based on being the job shop of the world. You can be the job shop of the world. There is no power in this at all geopolitically. Power in the world is when you build products, when you build something that the world desperately needs. It could be rare earths, as China is doing, but it could also be products. And if we don't pivot into that mode, and I think this is understood. Prime Minister was in Bangalore yesterday. What does he talk about? Becoming a product nation. Because if we cannot become a product nation, we have no future on this. And, you know, Bharat Bhushan ji was talking about our wonderful, glorious past. And the British destroyed it. You know, how did they destroy it? By making us traders. You know, and therefore, if you wanted to be anything other than a trader, that was an act of revolt. If you don't believe me, talk to Abhay Firodia, and he'll tell you Force Motors back in time was an act of revolt because they were going to manufacture something. They are the ones who created this idea of a 3-wheeler, for example. You go to Jamshedji Tata. It was an act of revolt. We have to now embrace that revolt full-fledged way. Because being a trader and a trader company is inconsequential. It doesn't matter at all.
Sharad sir, let me just interrupt you to
Right?
get...
So coming back to your point, I just want to finish. That we will either be a Thailand of the future or a Korea? I'll finish with one trick question. Who has grown faster in the last 25 years on a per capita basis? China or Thailand? How many of you think it is Thailand? How many of you think it is China? The correct answer is Thailand. The remarkable thing is that China has grown as fast as Thailand despite being 20 times its size. But tell me, in 1974, who had higher per capita income, Thailand or Korea? Thailand. What is Korea's per capita income today? Remember, Thailand has grown very fast as China or faster. But what is Korea's per capita income today? 5.6 times that of Thailand. Can you name a single Thai brand, product brand? Can you name a single Korean brand? Of course. Koreans, after 1974, they said 20 years of Korean War, we are not going anywhere as a country, we must pivot. They pivoted in 74. Today, they are a consequential country. Thailand is not. In this new geopolitical world, Thailand has no izzat, no power, no status in the world. Does it have? None. We are in the next 10 years, we have a choice. We can either be a Korea or we can be a Thailand. We can be the back office of the world or we can be a product nation. This is the future that we have to embrace. And this is what is in front of us. My request to all of you is, this requires Bangalore, Mumbai, and Delhi to wake up and work together. And the only city that has not woken up is which of the three? Delhi.
So that's a fantastic place for me to interrupt and to talk to the people that are actually building stuff. Anshu, if I can get you, first of all, congratulations on your food delivery platform becoming EBITDA positive. So not many people can boast of it, I guess. So yeah, so Sharad ji talked at a philosophical level about the opportunities out there, and also he gave a historical perspective and comparing various countries and where we can take our inspiration from. You are the one that are the brass tacks, building stuff. I'm going to ask you the same question. So I'm sure you guys have a vision. How do you see things 5-7 years from now? And you can also talk about how you want to go from here to there.
Thank you. I'll start by maybe disagreeing a bit with Sharad that Delhi is not the least or the laggard in that. There is enough that is happening in this market, but a very compelling thought that the world order is changing. And what should we do as folks who are part of this ecosystem, building, investing, advocating? What should be our play? I'll come to that piece last. I'll start by traditionally and touch a little bit upon that network versus marketplace. Traditionally, what has worked is a single company going and building demand, going and building supply. That's how typically marketplaces are built, right? Online, offline, whatever you pick. That's really what happens. And that's a lot of work. It requires a lot of capital, time, and money. But once you're there, at that point in time, you can charge that, and there was enough conversation in the previous sessions, that at that point in time, you can charge a certain take rate for you to make profits. You can charge for advertising, you charge for a bunch of things. I think that world order will change. And it'll change not just because as India, we will grow up and we'll say, no, this shouldn't happen. I think the tailwinds on technology is what will make that change. Our Magic Pin's business is to drive demand for offline retail. Prior to ONDC, we were doing business where consumers will go to stores and they will do transactions and they'll get savings and we'll get a take rate from merchants. Post ONDC, we started delivery also. Now that's been our core business and that's grown tremendously on food delivery also within ONDC. But what I see differently now is that we have to be exceptionally good at one part of this entire marketplace ecosystem. And for us, that is supply, that is onboarding merchants. I'll now answer what you asked me. Let's say there's this girl, Ayushi, 21-year-old, wakes up in the morning and says, what should I do? I think the way the world is moving now is that there would be an agent which would be very close to Ayushi. Today, when you have to do that, you have to go to an app, open that app and say, okay, what should I order? I think that's going to change. In the morning, it'll say, hey, Ayushi, I know you've been conscious about your health. I see your different searches that you're doing on the platform. It seems your mom in your email asked you to try this recipe. I would suggest to you that you should try this product from platform ABC. You just click here, I'll manage the rest. See, the concept of network is embedded in this future, right? Similarly, on the merchant side, and we are doing that today, our job is to make sure, and India is a very value-oriented market. Our strength actually lies in making our low disposable incomes, making our low average order values work out in economics across the board. Like telecom was the leader and the first one there. But that needs to happen everywhere. The reason we've grown successfully on ONDC is not because we've gone and competed on the biggest categories on food delivery also. It's because we've unlocked the value end of the market, which was not getting any business on the other platforms. Now, that business becomes more and more important. How can we make sure that a simple merchant who opens the app, to begin with, their lat long is taken care of, accurately defined, basic stuff. Their menus are converted to online catalogs. We help them take a simple picture, make it look good, create combos, say, okay, this is what will work. Tell them, okay, 15th August, if you're selling pastries, 3 days in advance, we tell them, why don't you sell Tiranga pastries, right? Like, basically, someone who's thinking about the merchant, just like there was someone thinking about Ayushi, someone thinking about the merchant that do just this much more, do just this much more. And at that point in time, the world that's becoming, right, with MCPs and in a way, this network kind of opening up in different ways, someone on the demand side will talk to the best guy on the supply side. And at all times, what's important is that there is someone who's enabling this offline retail, if I take this example, to look its best, and someone who's taking on the consumer side who understands this use case very well to do something for the consumer, and then both sides meet. That doesn't mean marketplaces will go away. Our business will continue to be there. But if I look what's going to change tremendously, I think this kind of decentralized approach, because of technology, will become more and more important.
Okay, I'll ask you like a very short question, because it's going to like come up in the future, like in 10 minutes later. I'll ask you a follow-up question on that. I was hoping you will say that the fridge will order groceries by itself, and a Neuralink will read Ayushi's thoughts and order idli and vada or whatever she wants. And how, I mean, this might be futuristic, or you might know better, but how capable are the systems now, or which the network or the open network or the platform business is more conducive for this?
Yeah, what you said is fundamentally a network, right? It's not a single platform, because there is, whether it's the fridge or the Neuralink, there's someone taking decision, and it's going to go and look at all the platforms that exist. It's not that.
It's not different from the agentic.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same. I spoke of it more in a near future way. Okay. I think the way you spoke of it, yeah, sure. I think eventually all of this goes to someone who the principal trusts and lets them take the decision on their behalf.
Great. Okay. Thank you, Aditya. So you're in probably the hottest sector. It has been hot for a long time now. So he's in education. So tell us, like, what's happening, and, what you're looking at in the future, and how it ties up to the discussion that we are having.
Thank you, Banu. Well, I don't know how you feel education is hot, because edtech has become worse than a 4-letter word nowadays. But luckily, we are not edtech. We are a classroom-based education company, and by God's grace, doing fairly well. So from our side, we see from a India's perspective, as Mr. Sharma was saying, we see education having to cross the bridge in two different sides or two different angles. One, from India perspective, we have to ensure the inclusion. how do we penetrate the last mile, the last kid on the block with the quality education which makes him ready for the future we just heard. Second side is how do we pivot the good quality education, so-called good quality education which is being offered to make it ready for the future. There are two different extremes. One side is the bottom of the pyramid, the other side is so-called top of the pyramid, not so much from an economic standpoint, but from a quality of education standpoint, that how do you make it from a service to a product-driven economy, how do you make it from a basic tech education to a AI education, etc. And the bottom of the side is the inclusion side of it. So I think very fast in next few years, India has to cross this bridge and address, unfortunately for us, we cannot focus on either or. It has to be a parallel focus for both. Solutions are different, but we have to address both if we have to economically prosper. That's point number one. Point number two, the delivery of education also has to change. We talk about, the agentic AI, we talk about AI impacting the education. How do we make sure we are delivering education for the world? First for us, then build solution like we are talking of, the digital public infrastructure, our UPIs, our Aadhars, our ONDCs, etc. How do we make sure we build it for the world? So, but we can have a larger discussion on this delivery as we go forward. But I see these two things coming along as we go forward.
Okay, fantastic, thank you. Sharad sir, I'm coming back to you again. You spoke about a lot of macro stuff when it comes to technology. So my follow-up question to you would be like, looking forward, like would it be advisable for India to like go the platform way or the network way, or do you have a preference? Is there going to be a mix which is going to play to our strengths?
I think it is irrelevant. I think this network versus platform does not matter. Honestly, I should not say this in a ONDC event. That's not central to the story here. Buyer and seller ke beech mein ek platform hai ya network hai. Yes, it matters to an extent, but that's not the central story. Let me prove it to you. How many of you here are wearing a ready-made shirt or ready-made kurta? Okay, let me ask a different question. How many of you are wearing a shirt or a kurta that has been stitched by a darzi? I see only 2-3 hands going up. If I had asked this question 20 years ago, what do you think the answer would have been? Almost everybody, right? So we'll come back to this in a minute. Now, in your shirt or kurta, you have a phone. How many of you have bought that phone online versus going to a physical shop to buy? How many of you have bought it online? Majority of you. 10, 20 years ago, you would have gone to a shop to buy this. Let us say it's a Samsung phone. You would have gone to a shop to buy a Samsung phone 20 years or 10 years later. Let's not even go that far, 10 years ago. 10, 15 years ago, you went to Samsung. What would have happened is, that day in the evening for the 100 rupee phone that you bought, 82 rupees was sent to Korea, 18 rupees stayed here. Because the margin on that phone for the domestic distribution and sale was 18%. That paid for the rent of the shop, the salary of the worker working there, the flyers and the marketing that had happened, all that was 18 rupees, and that stayed in India for every phone that you purchased. Today, when you purchase that phone online, do you know how much of it stays in India? And in the evening, how much of it goes to Korea? It actually is 2 rupees, less than 2 rupees. 98 rupees goes to Korea. 2 rupees stays here. So being in that 2 rupees is pointless. This is not only true for mobile phone, this is true for everything. India has the largest gap between what is called as factory price and street price. This has been the gap for cement, it's the gap for fertilizer, it is the gap for Hindustan Lever, for toothpaste. Now that gap is shrinking in India very rapidly, like it has shrunk for the phone. it has estimated to have shrunk by 15 percentage points, like it did on the phone, 16 percentage point on the phones, but on cement, on fertilizer, on FMCG, it shrunk by 15 basis points on an economy of $1 trillion, which means $150 billion of work has been lost. Right? That is not needed anymore. By the way, this is true even for solar cells. 10 years ago, when you had solar cells and you installed it on your roof, 27.1% was sales, distribution, installation. Do you know how much that is today? 6%. So 21% has also gone. So either you're a manufacturer of solar cell, if you're only in the rest of the process, there's no money to be made by anybody in India. आप जितना मर्जी उसको efficient बना लो, कोई फर्क पड़ने वाला नहीं है. Because that's a rounding error. So what is our challenge here? How to make a darzi a seller of ready-made shirts? ठीक है, अब मैं दर्जी हूँ, मेरे को पहले क्या था, आप आए मेरे दुकान में, मैंने आपको एक फिक्स प्राइस था, आप अपना कपड़ा लेके आए, मैंने अपना फी लगाया और कॉस्ट प्लस करके आपको शर्ट बना के भेज दिया वापस. Yes? But if I want to sell online, I'm a Kolhapuri seller, I am a chappal seller, I'm a darzi, I have to worry about a range of designs. I have to think about branding. I have to keep inventory. I have to figure out pricing, because the pricing is not cost plus pricing anymore. I have to worry about what others are selling a similar shirt for and price it accordingly. So merchandising becomes important. I am expected to do a set of things that I was never geared. My father never trained me on this. I don't know anybody. I can't hire an MBA to tell me all this because my business is too small to work on the back of an MBA. So who's going to help me with all that? Okay. Tell me. If there's nobody to help you with all that, will you be successful? No. Then Kolhapuri chappal will not benefit the person who's making the Kolhapuri chappal, because selling it online is not about listing. Listing is only a very, very small part of the whole story. It is about all these other things that have to. Now, do we need an ecosystem of companies like Anshu's that come in and say, I will help you with merchandising, I will help you with pricing, I will help you with X, Y, and Z. And you know, and मैं आपको बंदर से आदमी बना दूंगा online में.
Yeah, that's a great point, sir.
Right?
Like, yeah.
Just let me finish. I'll take one more minute. तो ये करने के लिए हमें चाहिए. अब उसमें अंदर प्लेटफॉर्म हो या उसके अंदर पाइप्स हो या क्या फर्क पड़ता है यार? We are focused on a trivial problem. We have to be focused on turning our ordinary darzis into actually branded shirt providers. This is very, very hard. Which means one darzi cannot do it. You have to take 10 darzis, create an FPO like Amardeep Singh said on the farmer side. Those units have to be created. Whether they're being served by a pipe or a platform is immaterial.
Okay, sir.
So I'll just finish with this. This can be done. This is possible to do. I'll just finish because I know I won't get a chance to come back again. I want to go back what Bharat Bhushan said. He said, today we are 3% of global trade. We are 7.8% of the global economy. We are 17-point-some% of the global population. What are we in terms of digital transactions today? Are we 3%, 7%, or are we 17%, or are we more than 17% or less than 17%? Ab yehi batai. How many of you think we are more than 17%? Yes, we are 52%. 52% of the world's transactions, not commerce transactions, that is important, but DBT transactions, we are 72%. DBT is taking money from you and me as tax and giving it to somebody, and in tax collection, digital transactions for tax collection, we are 52% of the world. Now, this has happened because we rethought digital completely. For a lady called Rajini, who is a street vendor. And so the point is, we've got in this whole act of enabling MSMEs, we have somehow developed this tunnel vision on only one small part of it, which is listing. You know, today you're telling me 6 more people got listed. अरे क्या फर्क पड़ने वाला है यार 6 और से list करके.
Okay. So we got the point.
So
we are running short of time,
I'm
sir.
sorry to be such a nasty guy here, because I really, really feel we have lost the plot and we are not doing what is needed to get our MSME sector to come to life, and therefore we will not succeed. What we are doing is well-meaning, but a very small part of what actually needs to be done.
Okay.
Over to you.
Thank you. Okay. We are running short of time. But I'll ask you a couple of quick questions, like what is, so you've been one of the first adopters of ONDC, I mean, you can talk about your experience, and also like, this is, ONDC helps in like, you know, onboarding companies very fast because of its unbundling and interoperability and stuff like that. So do you think like companies like yours will have many competitors in the future because of this, and how are you like, you know, going to look at the marketplace, and you know, what are the challenges and opportunities? Quickly, please. Thank you.
Sure. And I'll build on what Sharad said. I'll build on that by saying that the first job, though, Sharad, is to get them on board. Of course, that's just the starting point, because by itself, it doesn't do much. From that point onwards, the journey starts to make this merchant, whether it's a food delivery restaurant or it's a shirt manufacturer or anyone, to make them compelling. And, you know, markets have a way to bring the best out, bring the most efficient, the best out. And what digital environment does, and India, as we just heard, right, has leapfrogged on that, on the transaction side, which were payments, but now going into merchandising and commerce transactions, is that I can go back to this restaurant and say that in your marketplace, you were doing so far, let's say these samosas, but the new rage is these momos, or the new rage is this noodle samosas. Huh? This information enables that merchant to take action. And at all times, there'd be competition, right? But so far, it was very hard for them to understand that competition and act on it, right? This digital economy, what it lets us do is that it lets us nudge each of these merchants who've been listed, give them the tools. With AI and everything, you just need to click a picture. Of course, you still need to create the product, and that product creation is important. But we'll give you feedback around, okay, people are not coming back to you. They're going here instead, right? What might be valuable to your customers is something that you're missing out on. Maybe your returns are high, right? Or your time to prepare food is longer. All of these pieces are now available for that merchant to take action. And you know, this is not, again, a marketplace or platform thing. This is just digital economy.
The sharing of intelligence.
Yeah, and it doesn't guarantee, let's say if there were 10 merchants there, all of those 10 will become better. But if there were 5 out of that who were enterprising, ambitious, they now have an ability to do well. And the ones who do well, the platform will lift them up. Because the platform makes, as we just heard, a smaller proportion now, but it makes that proportion on a larger and larger base.
Okay. Basically, the cake is taken care of. You provide the cream.
Yeah.
And like with all the...
Right? And now building on our journey, right? See, we started off on all sides of it. Over a period, what we've realized is that you need to be exceptionally good at what we do, right? So logistics, for example, ONDC has been able to get to the point where we don't need to use our fleet. We can dip into ONDC and say, I want someone to pick up something from this point and drop it at this point. Right now, what's your price code? I'll get 5 price codes, and I can take the one that's best. The good thing is, there is competition on that. There are 5 people bidding on that single order, which was never possible in the past. Correct. Similarly, if we are enabling restaurants for food delivery to come online on ONDC, if there are 5 other people who do it, what we need to do, that bar goes up. So just like for that merchant, that tailor or that restaurant, the bar is rising for us. And that is, I think, the power of digital. What I continuously see and I feel very excited about is that as folks in India, our ability to produce at the lowest cost and the best quality is just exceptional.
Fantastic.
And the hunger for growth and the rate at which adoption of technology happens when you put the right product, that is great. And finally, we are all together ambitious to see India get there. And I see all of this digital transformation, new technology that's coming in, that will let us put India on that map.
Super. I'm concluding the session, Anilesh. Yeah. So, Aditya, I will probably come to you later. Like, it has been quite an engrossing session. As you can see, like, we can speak for hours on this. Very erudite panel. So, thank you so much. And thanks, panelists. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Bhanu. Thank you. We had really wonderful insights. Thanks to you. May I request if Koshiji, if you can come forward and help us in felicitating the panelists and the moderator. Koshiji is former ONDC's CEO. He laid the foundation of this great product. And today we will be hearing his insights as well later in the day. Aditya Malik, COO, Veranda Group. Shri Sharat Sharma, co-founder iSpirit. Shri Anshu Sharma, CEO, Magic Pen. And the moderator for you, ladies and gentlemen, Bhanuchandra Nagarajan, Senior Non-Resident Fellow at CIEU. He himself is a distinguished public policy commentator, and you often see him on television making comments. Hey, Bhanu, photo. Ladies and gentlemen, with this, we are concluding the first technical session of the day. We are moving towards the next one. Next one is hybrid. We are joining two distinguished panelists, Adil Zainulbhai, former chairman of Capacity Building Commission. Online, he'll be joining us from Mumbai. Then Mr.